NTA Parliament is a dedicated 24-hour channel that broadcasts activities of the Nigerian Senate, Federal House of Representatives, and all the 36 state houses of assembly. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. The Federal Executive Council has approved Land Infrastructure Swap Initiative of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The Minister of the FCT, Muhammad Musa Bello, announced this while briefing journalists after the Council's meeting. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the Council also focused on ways and means of reducing road crashes in Nigeria. Details will come in the course of this bulletin. Meanwhile, when the Chief of Army Staff designate appeared before House of Representatives Joint Committees on Defense and Army for screening, the House laid bare concerns of Nigerians on state of insecurity in the country. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
For the second time in 4 months, the House of Representatives is screening a presidential nominee as the Chief of Army Staff. The financial and human cost of the various security challenges is a huge burden. This was again re-emphasized as the screening.
Our nation has been besieged by several security issues with banditry, militancy, and self-secessionists stretching our military to the extreme. This must stop.
The three services are not always working together in the past, which is probably one of the reasons why we've been having challenges in trying to cope this threat of insecurity.
The nominee gave a glimmer of hope as the Nigerian army is already aligning with other agencies and stakeholders to improve security for the well-being of the country.
The air component, for example, the naval component, the police component, civil defense, the GSS, and all other elements are there, and including many good willing Nigerians that provide information and support.
Before being nominated as the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Farouk Yahya was the theater commander, Operation Hadinkai in northeast Nigeria. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Addressing environmental impacts arising from byproduct of human activities has continued to demand realistic position. This is the view of stakeholders during a public hearing on a bill for an act to establish the National Environmental Research and Training Institute, organized by the Senate Committee on Establishment and Public Service. Dayo Ogunshola reports.
Giving input on the desirability of the bill, key stakeholders affirmed that scientific research and training on the issue of environment beyond enforcement and regulations required a legal framework. As such, the bill, if passed, will provide a strong template for holistic environmental training and management as obtainable in the developed world.
This bill is already in existence as an act in Denmark. This bill is also existing as an act in London. This is because of the plethora of environmental miasma that we have.
Establishment of a national environment research and training institute and other matters in Nigeria is therefore long overdue.
This way, we may benefit from research into policies, training, and research with the establishment of the proposed NETI.
Meanwhile, the management of Nigerian Communications Commission appeared before the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption to present scorecards on the implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy.
We will continue to take measures that are of deterrent nature without being too overly, punitive. But the idea is to ensure that it is not business as usual.
The strategy, launched in 2017 by the federal government, was a policy direction of government. From the National Assembly, Dayo Ogunshola, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is including conflict management and mediation into agricultural development programs with a view to addressing farmer-herder conflicts in rural areas. To this end, staff and management of appeals projects are currently undergoing training on conflict management and mediation organized by the Mediation Training Institute, Abuja. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
Conflicts and disputes over farmland and disagreements between farmers and cattle breeders affecting food production and supply in the country. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture thought it wise to equip staff with basic skills in mediation and conflict resolution as a way of addressing disputes and crises among farming communities.
What the ministry can do is to ensure continuous dialogue and serve as what we call insider mediators.
In this hall are staff and management of the agro-processing productivity and livelihood improvement support project undergoing basic mediation skills for effective rural capital development.
Training is therefore aimed to enhance and reinforce the technical skills and capacity of the participants on basic principles and concept of conflict mediation skills.
This training will really, enhance the capacity of, the project implementation unit, to really ensure that all grievances registered are addressed, appropriately.
Involved in resolving grievances coming out of maybe participating stakeholders in the art of carrying out their duty. You are bound to have a course like this to be able to mediate in the arising issues.
The 3-day training is expected to have a positive impact on rural farming communities and youth participating in the World Bank-funded project. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
A new approach towards tackling security challenges in Nasarawa, Benue, Taraba and Plateau states is being worked out with stakeholders of the 4 states, suggesting a holistic approach to end farmers-herders crisis rather than the use of force. Aliyu Tijani Muhammad reports.
With the theme, Integrated Approach to Building Peace in Nigeria, Farmer-Herders Crisis provided an avenue for major stakeholders on issues of peace.
The goal of peace architecture is to strengthen existing peace-building mechanisms that are available in the state and build skills for conflict prevention towards amicable resolution of disputes and reconciliation for sustainable peace.
Governor Abdullahi Sule said the importance of peace building cannot be overemphasized.
That is the reason why, since we assumed office, we did not want to give excuses that we inherited security challenges. We kept working on ensuring that there is peace in our state.
In Lafia, Aliyu Tijani Mohammed, NTA News.
Technological advancement is scaling human endeavors, but its adoption sometimes poses threats to the safety of lives. The federal government is therefore reviewing the nation's biosecurity policy to produce a responsive action plan that will guarantee health of the environment, biodiversity in using modern technology. Onengiye Fineface reports.
Humans, animals, plants and water bodies which are at the receiving end of the impact of biological threats are part of the environment. The impact they suffer in turn affects the ecosystem and disrupts socioeconomic activities.
The strategy and action plan is to ensure that there are responses, and also apart from bringing responses to threats, we must also be able to predict the likelihood of threats, bio threats, and what do we do to ensure that these threats are averted.
Now the Zero Draft National Biosecurity Policy and Action Plan under review is expected to drive a workable biosecurity system, which will serve as a fundamental approach to minimize risks of biological threats to humans, plants and animal health, taking into account the environment and national economy.
Biosecurity remains a strategic and integrated approach that encompasses the policy and regulatory frameworks, including instruments and activities, for analyzing and managing relevant biorisks to human, animal, and plant health and associated risks to the environment.
Developed by the National Biosafety Management Agency, the draft policy under review will ensure that advancements in human technology do not result in adverse effects on the environment and biological diversity. In Abuja, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
Lagos is our first port of call on Nationwide, and Awal is standing by. Good evening, Awal.
Ayo, good to see you. The Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Tallen, has urged those clamoring for a divided Nigeria to embrace peace and dialogue towards finding solutions to the nation's challenges, as women are more interested in having a peaceful Nigeria devoid of gender-based violence and ethnic conflicts. The minister was speaking at a workshop on gender-based violence data harmonization. Joyken Abakwa reports.
Global statistics indicates that 1 in 3 women experience either physical or sexual intimate partner violence or non-sexual partner violence in their lifetime. The situation is not different in Nigeria, as about 30% of girls and women between 15 to 49 years are reported to have experienced sexual abuse. Though governments through the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs have made progress in the fight to curb the trend, appropriate and timely data has remained a challenge. This gathering of government officials, donors, and development partners is therefore to develop a harmonized database for harvesting credible gender-based data in the country.
This meeting, this workshop is very, very critical and it's very important because without data, you cannot do anything. These are variable facts that we need to support issues that pertain to gender-based violence. With data, we can be able to defend and address the issues.
Participants say a single database will give credence to the fight for a better life for Nigerian women and girls.
We are making a lot of headway in ensuring that we have one single reliable indicators that we can contribute to both the national reporting and, of course, the requirement of international reporting.
Data gives us direction. Data gives us more insight, evidence-based figures.
The 5-day data indicator harmonization workshop is organized by Spotlight Initiative, a partnership between the United Nations and the European Union. In Lagos, Joyken Abakwa, NTA News.
Moving on to transportation, despite the closure of Echo Bridge to allow for repair works on its expansion joints, vehicular movement between Lagos Island and mainland is smooth without the much anticipated traffic congestion along the corridor. Adeni Taiwo gives us an update.
It was a typical workday morning in Lagos with all the hustles and other trappings that define the nation's commercial capital city. Milling crowd, impatient cars honking, and minor scuffles. One thing was missing though, heavy traffic.
Costain is one of the alternative routes
designated by the Federal Ministry of Work to ease traffic going to mainland from CMS and Akpobon via Ojuelegba as repair work continues on Eko Bridge. The reality on ground shows that traffic is flowing freely, speaking to the effectiveness of measures put in place to control traffic along the corridor.
It's okay. It's not too much like that.
Okay.
The only way we face traffic is when there is construction of the road.
The last man and the road safety, they are trying their best to put things in order. I appreciate the way they work this morning.
Because everybody have here, the Eko Bridge has closed. So you have here meeting. So by 5:36, everybody be around to control the traffic of Coste.
Other alternative routes such as Adenijadele to Adekunle via 3rd Mainland Bridge and Alaka Stadium Road also experienced free-flowing traffic. Meanwhile, rehabilitation work on the bridge is making steady progress with engineers fixing the bearing for the expansion joints. In Lagos, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Nationwide. Time now for a break, after which Kemi in Ibadan takes it up from there. Thank you.
As Oni of Ife, as someone who cares about the well-being and safety of our people, it's time for each and every one of us to realize that COVID-19 is real and it has killed millions of people around the world. Scientists have developed this vaccine. The vaccine is safe for everyone and it contains no microchip, nor can it alter our DNA. However, we must continue to stay safe and stay clean, wear face masks, clean our hands on a regular basis, and try as much as possible to avoid a very large crowd and gathering. For those who choose to be vaccinated, it will go a long way in protecting yourself and your loved ones from COVID-19.
The much anticipated UEFA Euro 2021 is finally here. Can Portugal defend the title they won 4 years ago as they face world champions France, Europe giants Germany, Spain, Italy and England? Catch all the action via live transmission, in-depth studio analysis, fixtures, results, updates, and lots more on NTA, Africa's largest TV network. For sponsorship and advert placement, contact Bola on 08037044286 or Idris on 08034633644. This broadcast is proudly brought to you by NTA in partnership with Media Business Solutions, MBS Sports.
Thanks for being there and welcome to Ibadan. The need for Nigerians not to drop their guard in the fight against COVID-19 has been stressed. This was at a media interactive session organized by the Oyo State Emergency Operations Center. Ifeoluwa Omoshule has details.
COVID-19 declared by the World Health Organization as a pandemic on March 11, 2020 because of the rate of transmission has been reported to have claimed 124 lives in Oyo State, 6,858 infected and 6,731 recovered. With the emergence of different variants of the virus in other countries, residents of Oyo State have been advised to continue to observe all COVID-19 safety protocols even after getting vaccinated.
We need to make them understand that COVID-19 is not yet gone. And as such, we need to try to engage people to continue with what we've been used to.
Both the COVID infection and the vaccines are new developments. We keep gaining new knowledge every day. So it is better to err on the side of caution.
The nose and the mouth are the inlet and the outlet for COVID-19. So once it is well covered, then we are rest assured that we are protected.
The media was called upon to utilize their tool to help clear myths and reveal realities about the pandemic to residents of Oyo State. In Ibadan, Ifeoluwa Omoshule, NTA News.
Oyo State government has commenced the relocation of destitutes from the shanties along Sabo area of Ibadan to the newly constructed resettlement center at Akinyele local government area of the state. Kayode Oladoshu has the report.
The shanties in existence for years in the heartland of Ibadan metropolis houses destitute with different health challenges. This set of people converge on their makeshift tents after their daily routine as beggars. The shanties have become worrisome for your state government, who has ensured several efforts to settle them to no avail. After much persuasion, the destitute have been made to demolish the makeshift tent by themselves. It was a turnaround event for them at the new resettlement center with all the facilities provided by the government.
See, there's nothing they can do. They already need it. And they even pray to government that government will not get problem again.
It's good to carry them come here because that place is small for the people, but this place, when government open, is a very big place.
The center will serve as an avenue to rehabilitate the destitute to enable them live better lives.
We want to take them, all of them. Not only that, there are other centers, other places under the bridge that the government is planning to move them out.
Basic amenities for improved lifestyle are provided at the center to meet their immediate need. In Ibadan, Kayode Oladoshu, NTA News.
That's it from Ibadan. Nationwide continues in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Kemi. Back here in Abuja, the leadership tussle rocking the All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, ahead of the Anambra governorship poll has taken another dimension as the party's National Executive Committee meeting, which held in Abuja, has announced the sack of two factional chairmen of the party. Timothy Yusuf reports that NEC has also approved the appointment of the party's Deputy National Chairman South, Jude Okeke, as the new acting national chairman. His reports.
The 114th NEC meeting of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA.
Since the 2011 general election that our party won the Imo State governorship election, ABGA has not won governorship election in any other states, even in the southeast, except Anambra. In the next few days and weeks, ABGA will commence a genuine reconciliation process.
NEC also extended the collection of its Anambra governorship election forms to the 25th of June 2021, as it also rescheduled the primary election for July 1, 2021. Meanwhile, the national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, Ralph Okenwosu, at a media briefing shortly after the party's interfaith prayer conference for the country, has enjoined Nigerians to tirelessly work for the peace and oneness of the citizenry.
Nigerians, wherever you are, get up and talk to your political leaders. Let's all of us get up and say, our political leaders, don't stop dividing us.
Ahead of the November 6 Anambra governorship election, the national chairman announced the readiness of the party and urged all to team up with government in its efforts to secure the protection of lives of the people. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will no longer create voting points. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stated this while announcing the conversion of more than 56,000 voting points to polling units. Mie Ogidi reports.
An extraordinary scenes on election day for the past 25 years, but they may not exist anymore.
And the glory of our democracy to unveil the new polling units in Nigeria.
Journey of determination, commitment and faith by INEC and stakeholders have given birth to the delivery of 56,872 new polling units, bringing the total number to 176,846. By zonal analysis, Northwest comes first, followed by North Central, Southwest, South-South, Northeast, and Southeast. Lagos, Kano, and Kaduna states top the table, while Ekiti, Bayelsa, and Gombe are at the bottom.
For subsequent elections, beginning from the Anambra State governorship election, holding on 6 November 2021, there will be no voting points anymore in Nigeria.
only polling units.
During the exercise, 749 polling units in inappropriate locations were removed.
Of this figure, 232 were removed from private properties, 145 royal palaces, 6 mosques, 21 churches, and 9 shrines.
The completion of this exercise serves as a forerunner to the continuous voter registration exercise coming up June 28.
25-years-old challenge finally settled. That is the issue of the polling units. But there are 2 more challenges ahead of INEC. These are the governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states. And the commission has fixed 18th of June 2022 for the governorship election in Ekiti state, while that of Osun state is slated for the 16th of July 2022. And the commission says it is prepared for the task ahead in 2022. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
You're watching Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's go over now to our Jos Network Center where Zenret is standing by. Hello, Zenret, it's over to you.
Welcome to Jos. Management of the University of Jos has established a Center for Excellence in Food Security as part of measures to address food insecurity by the federal government. To this end, the institution has inaugurated a 7-man committee. Ijoma Ozemina reports.
Research indicates that Nigeria is ranked 98 out of 107 countries in the 2020 Hunger Index, hence the establishment of food security centers across the country. Considering the importance of food security, a 7-man committee was inaugurated to focus on applied research with emphasis on dissemination of existing technologies and innovations for adoption by farmers.
For us in the University of Jos, another milestone towards uplifting the status of academics and research. For you people, you have a lot of work to do. We know that this center will make a valid and robust contribution in the area of its mandate.
Chairman of the committee and Dean Faculty of Agriculture as well as Director of the Center promised to deliver on its mandate.
I'm very confident and competent that with our expertise, we shall be able to guide this center properly.
We also focus on addressing diverse challenges that affect food security, including the low crop and livestock productivity.
Other committee members were drawn from the private sector. In Jos, Ijoma Ozemina, NTA News.
Plateau State government says it has completed arrangements for the implementation of judicial autonomy in the state. Governor Simon Lalong gave this indication in Jos while swearing in the new president of the State Customary Court of Appeal, Justice Leo Blessing Diallo. Sadat Mohammed Kafa reports.
The appointment of Justice Leo Blessing Diallo as president of the State Customary Court of Appeal followed the recent demise of her predecessor, Justice Patrick Sati Dabit. Governor Lalong emphasized the need for the judge to ensure smooth dispensation of justice and ensure the integrity of the judicial arm of government.
The actions and inactions of the acting president and her staff will affect the people of the state and beyond in no small measure. Whatever pronouncement that is made from the court will have far-reaching impact on the citizens either way. This now, Plateau is the first to start autonomy of the judiciary. Even on Saturday, I said go and start paying, transfer all their salaries, transfer everything, transfer their capital to all.
Acting President of the Plateau State Customary Court of Appeal, Justice Leo Blessing Diallo, appreciates the governor for finding her worthy to serve and assures government of fairness in the discharge of her responsibility.
This duty entails someone that will be bold, courageous, to handle the responsibility. So I pray for your indulgence to pray for me and intercede for me for a successful tenure.
Justice Diallo seeks the cooperation of all to move the judiciary forward. In Jos, Sadat Mohammed Kafa, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. Nationwide will continue with Obehi in Benin after this commercial break.
Enugu East Senatorial District, namely Enugu East, Enugu North, Enugu South, Isiu Zone, Kano East and Kano West local government areas respectively, cordially invite the general public to her district rally tagged Oganire Enugu East Senatorial District. Date Thursday 17 June 2021. Venue Michael Opera Square, Independence Layout, Enugu. Time 11 a.m. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Right Honorable Dr. Ifeanyi Ugwanyi, Governor Enugu State. Guest of honor, His Excellency Chief Dr. Jim Ifeanyi Chukwumobodo, former Governor Oda Anambra State. Senator Dr. Chimaroke Nnamani, former Governor Enugu State and Senator representing Enugu East Senatorial District in the National Assembly, and His Excellency Senator Dr. Ken Nnamani Onwa, former Senate President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, be part of history as in Kano land of Enugu State, drum total support for consolidation of peace, unity and progress of Enugu State. Makanan Kano Evuka, announcers, Right Honorable Edward Obosi, Eze Sinachi, Speaker Enugu State House of Assembly, Convener and Chairman Central Organizing Committee, and Right Honorable USA Igwesi Ikemba, Chairman Media and Publicity.
Revision classes on television for students in secondary schools in English and mathematics will commence on the NTA. Wednesday, 16th June 2021. The revision classes will transmit Mondays to Fridays from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. This is organized in preparation for the various national examinations and orders. This is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Education.
And welcome to Benin. The infrastructural and academic reforms of the University of Benin, in collaboration with the federal government's Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TETFund, is yielding positive results in the institution. The Vice-Chancellor, while inspecting ongoing projects, reiterates commitment to collaborate with the federal government and other key players to achieve the mandate of the university. Ivie Oyakire reports.
The projects inspected include those initiated by the Vice-Chancellor but sponsored by TETFund. The ongoing construction of the 28 office building mainly for senior professors was the first port of call. The tour then moved to the Food, Science and Human Nutrition building, which is near completion. Other TETFund projects inspected include the International Male and Female Hostel, the construction and furnishing of twin lecture theatres. The construction has resumed of College of Medical Sciences, Block 24, a federal government project that was abandoned since 2013. The faculties of Law, Agriculture, Pharmacy, and Environmental Sciences also benefited from the 1,500 upholstered lecture seats interior furnishing project.
Anything that empowers this mandate actually is empowering the students, the staff, and then our output in terms of graduates will not only be marketable locally but internationally, because we're trying as much as possible to drive the system with the best practices, global best practices, and these projects are going to enhance that.
We have the architectural design, we have the civil structural design, we have the mechanical, electrical design, and the bill of quantities, which specify the various standard specifications for the construction, and we are complying with them.
Professor Salam is emphatic that under our watch, there is zero tolerance for education corruption. The excursion tour was rounded off with a visit to the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, where the construction of 250 capacity 2 lecture halls for medical students undergoing their clinicals is ongoing. In Benin, Ivie Oyahiri, NT News.
The wife of Ekiti State Governor Erelu Bisi Fayemi has again advocated for inclusion of sex education in school curriculum as a means of building the confidence of girls against various forms of sexual violence. This was her submission in commemoration of the 2021 Day of the African Child. Ayodeji Ogunshaki reports.
Over the years, children of age continue to suffer different forms of societal violence, most especially sexual harassment, a situation that negates the numerous policies that protect their rights, as well as the reasons for the commemoration of the Day of African Child. Children emphasize that there should be political will and effective implementation of policies to protect their rights and keep them safe from all forms of violence.
Their inability to secure their daily food brought parents into giving out their children.
The wife of Ekiti State Governor Erelu Bisi Fayemi said there must be detailed attention to the school curriculum with particular focus on sexual education for specific age groups in primary and secondary schools to prevent violence and promote gender equality.
I am a strong advocate of the inclusion of sex education within the limits of what is appropriate for the different ages.
Speakers at the program advocate commitments by government at all levels towards accelerating the implementation of Agenda 2040 for an African Faith for Children. In Adekiti, Ayodi Jogunshaki, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. Nationwide continues with Ayodiji in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Obehi. Back here in Abuja, June 16 every year is celebrated the world over as International Day of the African Child. And as Nigeria joins in commemorating the day, issues of raising awareness on the imperative for improvement of the education of African child is on the front burner again. This year has as its theme, 30 years after the adoption of the Charter, accelerates the implementation of Agenda 2040 for an Africa fit for children. Also, it's been instituted since 1991 by the Organization of African Unity in honor of those who participated in the Soweto Uprising in 1976. I have with me in the studio Dr. Hajo Sani, Nigeria's ambassador and permanent delegate to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Good to have you on Nationwide.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Now, let's start with the barriers African children face in order to receive a quality education, and how can this be addressed?
If you look at the history of the African celebration of the African Day of the African Child, you know that it all started as a result of lack of education for the children. You recall that the children in Soweto in 1971, about 20 of them protested against quality education, and specifically they were agitating for them to be taught in their own language. So that we should also make reference, know that that's the origin of the celebration of the Day of the African Child, which has taken an international dimension, which all United Nations agencies, including the UNESCO, has adopted as a major agenda in terms of improving the quality of education for the African child. And we look at it, the challenges are so many. The challenges can be referred to and look from the perspective of poverty. Poverty as a result of inability for the children to go to school on the path of their parents. as well as which we call as lack of access to education, completely lack of access of education. This is one major problem of the African child. So when we look at it, the international communities, UNESCO as an agency, a specialized agency of United Nations that focuses in the area of education, communication, social and human science, information and culture, which these factors cut across the development of the African child. Unless these factors are reviewed and looked at critically, just like what UNESCO has started partnering with its sister agency UNICEF in looking at the issue of out-of-school children. And they came up in partnership on that initiative on out-of-school children to look at through the data to be able to see that invisible, those invisible children that have not been able to have access to education. This is very critical. So I think the way forward is looking at some of these strategies critically, and not just at the international level, but to be able to bring it down to the level of the understanding of the common man, especially parents, to understand their role in terms of supporting the children in their development and educationally.
Now, let's talk on how certain cultures and myths have been hindering potential of the African child in educational and other areas.
Yes, we look at it. When we look at SDG, since the advent of Millennium Development Goals, now the SDGs, we have this SDG 4 that is actually specifically on education. Looking at it, we see there are so many cultural factors impeding, against the development of the African child in respect of gender. And we look at it more on the female gender, more on the girl child. Why? Because traditionally, the girl child is being denied access to education for many reasons, which are basically cultural and traditional. So we need a lot of advocacy in that. I know so many are going on, but we need to actually come up with a more different strategic approach in which we can now create a station that will give us the kind of focus we need in terms of increasing the access to education by children, African children, irrespective of gender.
Now, finally, how can we totally eliminate violence against African child?
Violence against African child, which is becoming very common, especially in my country, Nigeria, since we've been battling, even when I was heading the office of the First Lady, one of the main issues and the focus which the First Lady has been so passionate about is gender-based violence, especially with the advent and the rise in the number of rapes on children, the minor. We look at it as a very serious issue, and the only thing we try to see that has to be done is to bring justice. I think there is lack of legal improvement in the term of the legal measures that needs to be taken by those who are perpetuating the gender-based violence. As such, I think the legal institutions, non-governmental organizations, and all stakeholders, we need to come together and look at it critically so that we can achieve the desired goal.
Let's have your final thoughts as we celebrate the Day of the African Child. Is there any future?
Well, yeah, of course it is. When I review my personal development as a child, I look at it, it happens to be I'm one of those successful girl child that has been able to surmount all the challenges and be able to achieve what I'm able to achieve now. So I reflect my life on the life of the African child and see that, yes, we need quality education, we need access to school, we need attainment, and we need retention in school by all children. I think if this strategy is adopted, we should be able to increase the number of our children in Africa in schools.
Dr. Ajosani, thank you very much for coming on Nationwide.
Thank you very much.
I've been conversing with Dr. Hajo Sani, who is Nigeria's ambassador and permanent delegate to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, on the Day of the African Child 2021. Let's move on to Nationwide and tell you that Nigeria's succession plan under democratic leadership has remained a model for achieving a robust economic and political transformation of the country. The positive trajectory dominated discussed on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live, while addressing and assessing democracy as a tool for nation building. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
22 years of democratic experiment under the Fourth Republic has created a huge platform for Nigerians to pursue their legitimate demands and uphold the sanctity of national sovereignty.
We tend to underrate our achievements and look down on the gains that we have made. But if we look carefully, knowing that no democracy is perfect, and that not even the United States that can be said to be perfect. We had an election in which somebody is still contesting it.
Now, while these norms are shaping the lives of many Nigerians, few miscreants are frustrating genuine efforts of government in building a strong and viral Nigeria that will entrench stability and foster social cohesion.
The electorate should also ensure you vote for the right people. Vote for independent people that you can hold accountable. Vote for the people that can go and work for you, to ensure that if any governor misbehaves, you can call him to order. But as of now, checks and balances at the lower level is really weak.
Guest on NTA Tuesday Live admits that the 22 years has been eventful.
The elites or the persons who are in government should know that being in government means service. It's not about yourself, it's about the people. It's not about what do I keep, what do I take back. It's about what do I give back or put in. How will I be remembered for how I have exercised the functions of this office?
As the nation's democracy grows to maturity, stakeholders say participation and inclusiveness in active governance should be the hallmark of development politics. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy is to move its special boat service to Kano. Navy Chief of Policy and Plans, Rear Admiral Christian Ezekobe, disclosed this when he called on Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje of Kano State. Abdullahi Mustafa has the report.
The 10-man delegation came to Kano at the instance of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo. Among messages brought, leader of the delegation and Naval Chief of Policy and Plans, Rear Admiral Christian Ezekobe, stated, "I concluded plan to establish a Nigerian Navy comprehensive secondary school in Kano."
Most Nigerians do not know that the #1 special forces in the country today is domiciled with the Navy. We have the Nigerian Navy Special Boat Service. They are the most potent in Nigeria.
NTA News.
A total of 161 members of 9 voluntary security outfits have been trained and inaugurated into the Niger State Special Vigilante Corps to complement efforts of other security agencies in stemming insecurity and maintaining law and order in the state. Niger State's Governor Abubakar Sani Bello, who inaugurated the Special Vigilante Corps, handed over 10 Toyota pickup vans and 20 motorcycles to ease their task. Usaina Musa reports.
The State Special Vigilante Corps, which comprised of 9 voluntary security outfits, were harmonized after a series of negotiations to checkmate the activities of thugs and other criminal elements in their communities. The Special Vigilante Corps, who were presented appointment letters by the state government, were trained for 2 weeks at the police training school and are expected to assist in curbing youth restiveness to complement conventional security agencies. To enhance effective service delivery, the Vigilante Corps were supported with 20 motorcycles and 10 pickup vans.
The threat in Mina is different from the threat outside. These special vigilantes you are seeing, you will recall that about a month ago, almost on daily basis you have youth coming out with cutlasses, fighting themselves. The special vigilante corps you're seeing here is to maintain law and order with the police in Mina. They are to complement the efforts of the police so that this menace, this nonsense happening in Mina should stop immediately so that people can move freely.
Governor Abakar Sani Bello urged the Vigilante Corps to carry out their responsibilities within the confines of the law, disclosing that the state government will take responsibility of members in case of any casualty in the line of duty. In Mina, Hussaina Musa, NT News.
And still on the fight against insecurity, 36 suspects of different crimes are to face prosecution following arrests by the police. Francis Form reports that the suspects who were paraded at the Special Tactical Squad Office, Guzape, Abuja, include vandals of railway locomotive sleepers arrested in Nasarawa, Benue and Cross River states.
These 3 trucks loaded with rail track materials allegedly stolen by these suspects were being conveyed to the end receiver in Cross River State before it was intercepted by operatives of the Nigeria Police Force.
We want to appeal to citizens out there, and particularly members of the communities who are hosts to some of these facilities, to take ownership of these facilities.
This 60-year-old man is the leader of the gang of kidnappers who specializes in concealing arms and ammunition in the engine compartment of his vehicle and moving them safely from one location to the other.
Because of his age, police personnel, security agencies on the road will traditionally, in the best African tradition, extend a lot of courtesies to him. And this is how he beats security.
Another gang of 5 specializes in stealing cars using master keys purchased at the rate of 5,000 each. The suspects confessed to have stolen more than 30 cars.
30 cars. When you steal a car with the master key, you used to give this allergy so that this allergy will go with the car. For me, I used to stay like standby. When person park, I used to follow him so that I will see where he's going to enter.
12 assorted weapons, 20 AK-47 magazines, 346 rounds of AK ammunitions, 24 rounds of live cartridges, cash sum of 1.4 million naira, 6 stolen cars, and other valuable items was said to have been recovered from the suspects. Franks is from NTA News.
Moving on to sports now, with less than 37 days to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, Nigerian athletes have intensified training to win medals. In this special report, correspondent Clement Oloruntoba assesses Nigeria's chances in athletics.
As the world awaits the official opening ceremony of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics in Japan on the 23rd of July 2021, one prominent sport that always steals the show is athletics. Nigeria made a debut at an Olympic Games in 1952 in Finland and have featured 16 times. Nigeria has so far recorded 25 medals in 16 Olympics, with athletics as a sport producing 13 medals. In athletics, the athlete achieves qualified standard by qualifying time or by world ranking. Whichever way, the 2020 Tokyo Olympics will not be an exception. Preparations for better outing have so far commenced, as athletes are already in camp for those that have qualified, while those that have not qualified still have another chance. What is left for the team?
The relays. Yes, Nigerians are yet to qualify for the relays, which is a 4x1, 4x4. And we're sure we'll be picking a ticket, hopefully, this week.
The caliber of athletes in camp right now, they are very, very young. And I can tell you authoritatively they are athletes for the future. And my expectations for them is very high. I know they will go there and make a very, very good impression.
Nigerian athletes will be taking part in field and track events, which include 100 meters, 200 meters, 100 meters hurdles, 200 meters hurdles, 400 meters, men's shot put, women's long jump, women's triple jump, and women's hammer throw.
Everything is going on well. The training is going on, and we are getting ready for the national trials. That is the last qualification.
As the athletes go for the national trials this Thursday, Nigerians will be hoping for a better outing from the athletes to surpass their previous records. In Abuja, Clement Olorutoba, NT News.
Nationwide, thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Deji Makinde. Please remember to stand with the NTA in the fight against rape and rapists to be a star. On behalf of the entire production crew, good evening.